Mario Kart is a franchise that everyone has played, and if you haven't, check your trash can. There's bound to be a copy of Super Circuit for you to try out, but have you ever stopped to ask if any of it is legal? I'm not asking if it's illegal to assault other drivers with large green turtle shells, and I'm not asking if it's illegal for a baby to drive. Those are obvious and boring. No, I'm talking about the legality of the karts themselves. Today, I'm going to be ranking every Mario Kart on how street legal they are. Now, you may think that this is a dumb question. It's a binary answer. Either a car is street legal, or it is not, and you are correct. That is, if the video was titled, Ranking Mario Karts on if they're street legal. You see, I was going to read through the US Department of Transportation's Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards and Regulations to figure it all out. But then I figured out that most of these guidelines don't really apply to Mario Kart. Most of them are things like brake fluids and throttle control that I can't physically check, and some of it is only stuff that the manufacturers can really check, like the state of the pneumatic tires when they come off the shelf. So after doing some more digging and watching some very important videos, I found that there are only really 4 main things a car needs to be street legal, and those things in no particular order are: Number 1. Windshield. You need to be able to safely see the road ahead without worrying about a stray banana peel hitting your face. For this one, I counted any windshield no matter how low or high it was. I'm not going to fault the kart for the drivers not sitting lower in their seats. They can adjust it as needed. Number 2. Lights. This refers to lights in both the front and the back of the car, but again, I was lenient with this one and gave it to any cars with headlights, otherwise almost no kart would count in this category. They can just use hand signals for behind them. Number 3. Mirrors. When driving down the beautiful streets of Daisy Circuit, you need to be able to see a bullet bill coming from behind, so side mirrors are not only important, but required. And number 4. License plate. This one is also being ignored because no kart has a license plate, and that would make this video slightly more pointless. I want it to be just the right amount of pointless. So now, instead of checking every rule in the Federation and noting down which karts follow them, I instead just have to sort all the karts on which of these 3 things they have. An easy way to understand this is if they score 3 out of 3, they're basically only going to need a license plate to be safe and or legal, but if they score a 0 out of 3, it's a lot more of a fixer-upper and you're going to be pulled over if you try and drive one. I'm also going to be docking 1 point for obvious danger, because I don't need dense legal papers to know that putting spikes on your wheels or driving a literal tank is dangerous. And for the sake of not showing you all of the over 100 karts I checked, I'm only going to highlight a few karts per score. Let's start with the first category, which actually isn't 0 out of 3, but -1 out of 3. These are the karts that not only lacked all 3 of our safety criteria, but also got the point deduction for being actively dangerous for either themselves or fellow drivers. Some of the notable karts in this category are the pipe frames that originated from Super Mario Kart and have appeared here and there throughout the series. They're here because these things are just not safe to drive in. One collision with the wall and you're going to turn to a bent paperclip. There's also the vehicles that just should not be driven on roads, like a tank and a crane. And as you'll see later on, I partially overlook some airplane-shaped karts, but that doesn't even have wheels. I can't excuse that at all. I also put Rob's vehicles here because one is too tall to be safe, and I don't think that one has a safe shape to it either. I know it's a reference to the original Rob toy, but I don't know why they translated that to a car. And before we get to the 0 out of 3s, we have a quick detour to -0.5 point, with only one kart, the Bullet Blaster. Unlike all the other visibly dangerous vehicles, it gets half a point because the eyes might be headlights. The jury's still out on that though, so let's move on. Next up is the 0 out of 3s, and out of all the karts I looked at, 53 of them got this score. That means about half of Mario Kart's karts are not safe at all to drive on roads. You should be ashamed, Nintendo. Almost all of them are here because they just lack the safety criteria. Some notable ones being all the standard karts that aren't pipe frames because it's just a little more safe. The Bolt Buggy is just a slightly more durable pipe frame, a couple more airplanes, and a big-ass drill. After that are the 3 karts that only scored half a point, and all because I wasn't sure how dangerous they were. Both the Turbo Dolphin and the Soda Jet have airplane-like shapes, but they're a lot rounder and softer than their regular airplane counterparts, and the Marine Driver has arms. I don't know how that makes it more susceptible to crashing, but I just know it shouldn't have arms. Cars don't get arms, we learned this lesson already. Now we have the 1 out of 3s, the karts that are still dangerous to drive and would still get you pulled over, but they're a little closer to being acceptable compared to the previous dangerous ones. Not really anything interesting to note here. All the dangerous ones are pretty obvious as to why they lost a point, but it is funny to know that the Hamburger car, a hamburger-shaped car, is safer than 67 of the other karts, just because it has headlights. Now we're on to the 2 out of 3s, the ones that are very close to being safe to drive, and somehow none of them are inherently dangerous. We got the Circuit Special with headlights and the smallest goddamn windshield I've ever seen. It's debatable if it's even a functional windshield at that point, but it's there, it counts. There's the X-Racer, which probably has an even dumber looking windshield. I cannot express to you how much I don't understand Nintendo's design process with windshields. Why do they look like this? And of course, Wario's signature car, which is actually one of the very few cars to have lights in the front and back. Just pop a good windshield on there and a license plate and you have a competent car. You are so close, Wario. There's actually 2 more 2 out of 3 karts I'm not showing yet because it'll be really funny to show them at a later spot, I promise. There is one car with 2.5 points, and that's the Ultra Speeder. It has lights, a windshield, and even mirrors, but I'm concerned about that spike on the front. It might be dangerous, it might be ornamental, I don't know. Finally, we have the 3 out of 3s. These karts are only a license plate away from being considered street legal. And there's only 2 of them. The first one is the Honey Coupe from Mario Kart Wii. Everything checks out, windshield, albeit a small one, mirrors, lights, and it's also shaped like a regular ass car. I wouldn't really pay much attention to this car out on the freeway, so good on you, Mario Kart Wii. Round of applause. Now, the other good kart is one of the promotional DLC ones, but it's only the 300 SL Roadster. The other 2 promotional cars, the GLA and the W25 Silver Arrow, don't have side mirrors for some reason, landing them a 2 out of 3. And that's it. From Super Mario Kart to Mario Kart 8, I looked at 118 karts, and only 2, maybe 3 if you count Ultra Speedster of them, only need a license plate to be street legal. Now, you may be wondering why I didn't include Mario Kart Tour, but I have a couple of actually good reasons. For one, most of the karts in the game are carried over from previous games, so it'd be a lot of just repeat offenders. 2, there's currently almost 300 karts in the game and it's still being updated, so this video would become outdated rather quickly. And 3, I just don't like Mario Kart Tour. Well, that was a waste of time for everyone. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, whatever you feel like, and if you'll excuse me, I have a topic that I need to revisit. I'll catch you next time.